Sometimes the body whispers before it ever shouts. One of those whispers is something most people have never heard of until a doctor mentions it: creatinine. This small word hides a big story. When levels are high, it often means the kidneys are struggling, and yet many dismiss it until fatigue, swollen ankles, or sky-high blood pressure force attention. I've met too many patients who only learned about creatinine after a frightening hospital stay. But here's the secret no one tells you: your daily food choices can make an enormous difference. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Vital Science for Seniors. Together, we'll explore how simple, everyday foods can quietly protect kidney health, lower creatinine, and give you back energy and confidence. Imagine rebuilding your strength one delicious bite at a time. That's the journey we begin today. 13 foods that may hold the key. When I think of broccoli, I don't just see a green vegetable on a plate, I see a shield. Years ago, I had a patient named Margaret, 72 years old, who told me she never liked the taste of broccoli. But after her kidney numbers began creeping up, she decided to give it a chance. Within months, her energy improved and her creatinine stabilized. Why? Broccoli is full of fiber, which helps the body remove waste more efficiently so the kidneys don't have to work as hard. It also contains vitamin C and sulforaphane, a compound that acts like a firefighter against the flames of inflammation. I often describe it this way: think of your kidneys as a water filter, and broccoli as the cleaning brush that keeps the filter unclogged. Even its potassium level is moderate, safe for many, unless advanced disease requires restriction. Margaret now calls broccoli her green medicine, and she eats it with pride. One of the greatest lessons I've seen in kidney health is that not all proteins are created equal. I once cared for Thomas, a retired firefighter in his late 60s who loved steak on the grill, but his lab work showed rising creatinine, and he felt constantly drained. When I suggested shifting some of his protein toward beans and lentils, he was skeptical. "Doc, beans don't sound like dinner." Yet within 3 months, his creatinine began to stabilize, and he told me he felt lighter, less weighed down. Plant proteins like beans and lentils don't overload the kidneys with as much waste as animal proteins do. They also bring fiber, which acts like a broom, sweeping out toxins through the digestive tract. Studies, including one in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, confirm that replacing animal protein with plant protein can reduce kidney stress. For Thomas, lentil soup became a comfort food, not just for his body, but also for his peace of mind. Corn often surprises people when I mention it in conversations about kidney health. A gentleman named Richard, age 75, once frowned and said, "Isn't corn just empty calories?" The truth is, when enjoyed in its whole form, corn is far from empty. 1 cup of cooked kernels offers fiber that gently aids digestion, easing the load on the kidneys. Think of it like sending waste out the back door instead of letting it pile up in the hallway. Your kidneys are less burdened. Corn also brings along antioxidants such as carotenoids and B vitamins, which act like small repair crews, patching up the body's daily wear and tear. Importantly, its potassium content is moderate, making it suitable for many people trying to balance a diet for kidney disease. I always caution against highly processed corn snacks, which carry salt and added fats. But a simple ear of boiled corn on the cob can be both a pleasure and a quiet act of kidney protection. There's something powerful in the simplicity of a lemon. I remember Mrs. Alvarez, a 68-year-old teacher who used to sip soda with every meal. Her creatinine had begun to climb, and she felt sluggish. When we swapped her sodas for water infused with fresh lemon, not only did her energy rise, but her lab results improved. Lemons are more than just tart flavor. They contain citrate, which helps prevent kidney stones. Stones can block the flow of urine, forcing creatinine to build up in the blood, like traffic on a jammed highway. By binding with calcium in the urine, citrate makes stones less likely to form. Add in vitamin C, a natural antioxidant, and you have a fruit that supports the kidneys while protecting other organs too. I often tell patients that squeezing half a lemon into water is like sending a gentle rinse through the plumbing system. For Mrs. Alvarez, that small daily habit turned into one of her sweetest victories. Bright, sweet, and crunchy, red bell peppers often feel like a celebration on the plate. For my patient Helen, a 70-year-old retired nurse, they became more than just a garnish. When her early kidney disease left her frightened and confused, she decided to try adding half a red pepper to her lunch every day. 3 months later, her creatinine levels showed a meaningful drop, echoing findings from a 2015 study where patients eating red peppers saw a 57% reduction compared to controls. The secret lies in compounds like lycopene and high amounts of vitamin C. Together, they fight oxidative stress, the kind of invisible rust that gradually damages kidney cells. I told Helen to imagine each pepper as a splash of paint restoring worn wood, sealing it against decay. Low in potassium, bursting with antioxidants, and versatile in salads, stir-fries, or eaten raw, red peppers brought Helen a sense of control and joy. She now calls them her red prescription, written by nature itself. Cranberries carry a reputation for urinary health, and for good reason. I once worked with Evelyn, a 74-year-old who had battled repeated urinary tract infections. Each infection left her kidneys inflamed, nudging her creatinine higher and leaving her fearful of dialysis. We introduced unsweetened cranberry juice and a handful of dried cranberries into her weekly routine. Within months, her infections became less frequent. The magic lies in compounds called proanthocyanidins, which prevent bacteria from clinging to the lining of the urinary tract. Imagine them as tiny bouncers, stopping troublemakers at the door before they enter the club. Add to that a healthy dose of vitamin C and phenolic antioxidants, and you have extra shields against inflammation. Of course, I always warn patients to avoid sugary cranberry cocktails, which do more harm than good. For Evelyn, the tartness of cranberries became a daily reminder that small, natural choices could protect her kidneys and give her back a sense of freedom she thought she'd lost. Cabbage might not sound glamorous, but it is one of the quiet heroes of kidney health. I recall George, a 79-year-old widower who had grown up on hearty stews. When his creatinine began edging upward, we talked about gentler foods. He discovered cabbage sautéed lightly with garlic and olive oil, and it quickly became his comfort dish. What makes cabbage so special is its fiber, which binds some of the protein in food before it even reaches the kidneys, sparing them extra work. It's also full of vitamin C and other antioxidants that act like a protective polish against free radicals, the invisible sparks that can damage tissues. And perhaps most importantly, cabbage helps the gut thrive. A healthier gut means fewer toxins flowing into the bloodstream, which lightens the kidney's load. George would smile and tell me, "Doc, I never thought cabbage could taste like hope." Sometimes it's the simplest vegetables that give us the greatest strength. Cauliflower may look plain, but inside those white florets lies powerful protection. I remember Mary, 66, who came to me worried after her doctor mentioned diet for kidney disease. She thought her choices would be bland and boring. When I suggested cauliflower, she sighed. That tasteless thing? But she soon discovered roasted cauliflower tossed with a hint of turmeric, and it became her new favorite. Cauliflower is naturally low in potassium and phosphorus, making it friendly for people with kidney concerns. It's also rich in vitamin C and unique compounds called glucosinolates. Once eaten, these break down into sulforaphane, a natural defender that quiets inflammation and shields cells from damage. I explained to Mary that cauliflower is like a sponge, absorbing flavors from spices and herbs, while also absorbing some of the kidney's burden by reducing toxins. Over time, she began to see food not as restriction, but as renewal. In her words, cauliflower gave me variety and gave my kidneys a chance to breathe again. Carrots with their bright orange glow remind me of sunlight captured in a root. A patient of mine, Samuel, age 71, once joked that he'd rather lose his teeth than give up his sweet snacks. But when his creatinine crept higher, he agreed to trade some cookies for carrot sticks. Soon he found he enjoyed the crunch and the natural sweetness. What Samuel didn't realize at first was that carrots were working quietly behind the scenes. They are packed with beta-carotene, which the body can convert into vitamin a potent antioxidant that neutralizes free radicals before they can scar kidney tissue. Alongside beta-carotene, carrots also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, pigments that fight inflammation like a pair of loyal guardians. I often describe them as the bright paint that prevents rust on a fence, keeping the structure strong. For Samuel, carrots became not just a snack, but a symbol. that even simple, everyday swaps could protect kidney health and restore a measure of confidence. Apples have long been called nature's doctor, and I've seen why. Linda, a 69-year-old librarian, came to me feeling discouraged. Her creatinine had ticked up, and she feared that her world was narrowing. Less travel, less independence. I suggested adding an apple a day, not as a miracle cure, but as a steady companion. Apples bring vitamin C, quercetin, and camphorol, all antioxidants that quietly guard cells against wear and tear. They also offer gentle fiber that helps usher waste out through the digestive tract, easing the kidney's load. I told Linda to imagine her body as a busy library. Apples act like diligent librarians, keeping the shelves orderly and preventing chaos. With only moderate potassium, they can be enjoyed by many people managing kidney health. Over time, Linda found not just physical relief, but emotional comfort in her daily apple. She'd smile and say, "Every bite feels like I'm giving myself a little permission to keep living fully." Blueberries may be tiny, but they carry the power of a whole pharmacy in each handful. I remember Robert, a 73-year-old gardener, who had begun to slow down because of rising creatinine. His mornings, once spent tending roses, were cut short by fatigue. I encouraged him to add blueberries to his breakfast oatmeal. Within weeks, he told me he felt a spark of energy returning. The secret lies in anthocyanins, the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue hue. These antioxidants sweep through the body like janitors at night, clearing away harmful free radicals that quietly chip away at kidney cells. One small 2015 study even found that blueberries could help lower creatinine in people with early kidney disease. Low in calories and moderate in potassium, they are easy to fit into almost any kidney-friendly diet. Robert said it best. "It feels like I'm planting health inside me with every berry." His garden grew, and so did his hope. Sweet potatoes often surprise people when I bring them up in kidney conversations. Diane, 70 years old and living with borderline kidney disease, confessed she dreaded mealtime because everything felt restricted. When I suggested trying baked sweet potato with a drizzle of olive oil, her face lit up. Sweet potatoes provide fiber that steadies blood sugar and cholesterol, two silent culprits that, if left unchecked, can accelerate kidney damage. Their natural sweetness makes them feel indulgent, while vitamin C and plant pigments like anthocyanins add antioxidant protection. I explained to Diane that fiber works like a slow, steady broom, sweeping through the intestines and removing waste before the kidneys ever see it. Of course, sweet potatoes contain potassium, so not everyone can have large portions. But for many, they're a nourishing ally. Diane later told me that eating them felt like reclaiming joy, not just following orders. In every orange bite, she found both comfort and confidence that her kidneys still had partners in healing. Salmon brings the ocean's gift of strength in every fill-in. I think of Harold, a 76-year-old retired teacher, who feared he'd have to give up all protein when his creatinine climbed. When I suggested replacing some red meat with salmon twice a week, he was skeptical. "Fish won't fill me up," he chuckled. But within months, his energy returned and his lab results steadied. Salmon offers high-quality protein, but what makes it remarkable are its omega-3 fatty acids, EPA, and DHA. These healthy fats act like oil in a rusty hinge, easing inflammation that stiffens and damages blood vessels and kidneys alike. Some research even links omega-3s to a lower risk of chronic kidney disease progression. I explained to Harold that while his kidneys work to filter waste, salmon was working to soothe the fires of inflammation from within. Grilled, baked, or poached, salmon became his Saturday night ritual, a reminder that eating well could be both healing and deeply satisfying. As we've walked through these 13 foods, I hope you've seen that protecting your kidneys isn't about fear or endless restriction. It's about discovering new allies on your plate: vivid peppers, sweet berries, nourishing beans, and even humble cabbage that quietly support your health day after day. If you're living with high creatinine or worried about kidney disease, remember that change doesn't have to come all at once. Each meal is a chance to protect kidney function and reclaim vitality. I'm Dr. Brian, and I believe hope belongs to you at any age. Take heart, take action, and keep moving forward.